Welcome to Saturday at Gigi's Place. Today is major cooking, cleaning, arranging. That's why I'm still in my jammies with no makeup. And there's the crazy girl playing with her squirrel. This is what my house looks like when it is in a state of transition, okay? You see all this on the floor? Well, it's there because this mess is my project for today, along with making 5 or 6 recipes. This has been a crazy day. I have been trying to get this up onto YouTube for hours, and I finally decided the reason they wouldn't take it is because I have Christmas music playing in the background. So what I'm telling you here is I am chopping up all of these sweet potatoes, which I have peeled with my fancy Japanese knife, and I am now salting them, and I'm going to put some pepper on them and some olive oil. They are for a sweet potato and arugula salad with pomegranates, onions, and apples that I plan to take to Christmas dinner. And of course, this is way more than I'm going to need for a salad, but I have other things I'm going to do with them. So I'm setting my oven on 400 degrees. This is extra virgin olive oil, and I just want you all to know that I learned something this year. I have been a fan of olive oil forever, but especially since I lived in Greece for 5 years. But I didn't know this. When you buy some olive oil and you look on the label, if it has more than one country, like if it says product of Italy, Crete, Spain, whatever, then that's going to be the kind of olive oil you might want to cook with. But it certainly is not going to be the kind of olive oil that you would want to put on a salad or dip your bread in, let's say. Okay, because the more places it's been to, the less it's pure. Okay. Now I'm showing you here my fancy Japanese knife because I just learned something else too. We're supposed to be holding knives like this. I've never done that before. I've always held mine in the back. Maybe that's why my wrist always hurts. Okay, so we're going to use a package of mint Oreos, and they need to be crushed. So I'm going to put them a little bit at a time into a small food processor that I have. This is actually the best kind of food processor to use for something like this because you cannot just push the button and walk away. Every time you move your finger off the lever, it stops. So I'm going to put just a few at a time. Now I realize I'm dirtying up 2 appliances here, but I can't help it because you could never get them pulverized finely enough in the mixer. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing here, show you what the grounds. It should look like coffee grounds when it's all smushed up, okay? And then I'm just going to finish this up later. Now we're going to add a block of room temperature cream cheese. I should have taken the time to cut it in chunks, but I didn't. And what you want to do is get it in this mixer and mix it up enough that you can't see any more cream cheese. I feel really silly here because I had this all done and edited and everything and beautiful Christmas music in the background, but YouTube wouldn't take it. So what I'm telling you here is when I bought my mixer, I bought it specifically because it had a glass mixing bowl. If you have a KitchenAid mixer with a stainless steel bowl, this glass one will change your life because you can see through it. You can see when you don't have something mixed up. And I also have this wonderful paddle attachment that my daughter got me for Mother's Day or birthday or something because it also scrapes the side of the bowl. That's the biggest problem with the KitchenAid is that they do such a good job of mushing things up, but many times I have dumped cake batter into the pan that I'm going to bake it in and found that I still had flour in the bottom. All right, so here we go. Sorry. So I'm showing you something here that's a great tip. If you don't like flour dust or powdered sugar dust or anything else like that flying around in your kitchen, cover the bowl with saran wrap. What a great idea. I just didn't pull out enough, so I'm having to use my hands in the background. So we're just going to let this beat up and beat up and beat up until you can't see any cream cheese anymore. Now you can see that I had cream cheese on the edge of my spatula, so when I went to push down everything, yeah, I've got a couple of places in my little rolled up chocolate balls in the refrigerator where you can still see a little vein of cream cheese, but phew, that's okay. All right, now we're done and we're ready for the next step. Okay, so I have a piece of parchment paper on a cookie sheet, and I'm going to scoop out using the smallest of my cookie scoops as many little balls as I possibly can. I have a mini muffin tin that holds 24 little muffins, and I put one of those mini muffin papers in each hole, and so we're going to try and fill those up with our little candies when they're all done. I also found that I had twice as many chocolate balls as I have place to put them, so I'm going to just go ahead and dip some and then get them setting up in the refrigerator, and then we'll let the other ones go. Okay, so after I rolled them all out, I'm going to put the big glass mixing bowl in the dishwasher, but that little cookie scoop and the paddle I'm going to use for the snickerdoodles that I'll be making next. So I'm going to have to wash those by hand. Now, I've got everything scooped out, and so I'm going to put some cold water on my hands. This next part's kind of messy. And just pick up one of those little lumps and roll it into as smooth a ball as you possibly can. And I'm putting them much closer together, you can see, because they're not going in the oven, so they're not going to spread out. And I want to get all of them on one cookie sheet. My refrigerator inside and the one outside are loaded right now, so to have room for all of these things is going to be a miracle. I ended up with 54 little balls. So 24 is 48, 2 times in my little muffin tins, then I'll still have 4 left over. But I'm planning to take some of these for Christmas, and then I have 2 more parties that I'm going to or having here during the holidays, so they'll get eaten. There we go. Now they're off to the refrigerator, and they're just going to chill until I can get back to them, which should have been hours ago, except I've been messing with this video all this time. They're just supposed to go in the fridge and chill, and then we're going to dip them. Look at these potatoes. I ended up roasting them for about 30 minutes, and every 20 minutes or every 10 minutes or so, I would open the door and kind of scoop them around. So they're kind of cooling right now. All right, now we're about to make our snickerdoodles. So the first thing we're going to have is we're supposed to mix our dry ingredients, and we're going to need 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I bought myself 2 presents this year for my birthday. One was this nesting set of magnetic spoons. I don't know about you, but it's so hard to chase spoons down in a drawer. These are all stuck together. And the other were these really big, wide mouth canisters. So you can actually get a measuring cup down in there. It makes life so easy. So there's my half cup. No, I believe that was a quarter. Or maybe it was the half. Whatever. It's either the half or the quarter. I can't tell from here. And then we need 2 more cups. I can tell by my flour and sugar with my baking that I did for the neighbor baskets, I'm going to have to replenish those pretty quickly. I try to buy as much as I can in bulk at Winco, my favorite store. All right, there's 1. The way things are going this afternoon, I'll probably be in my kitchen trying to finish the pantry in the dark. All right, that's it. And now we need 1.5 cups. Oh no, we're still mixing dry ingredients. Sorry. So we need a teaspoon of baking soda. and 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. That's what gives the snickerdoodles their signature zing. I keep mine in the refrigerator because the only time I ever use it is for egg whites and snickerdoodles. And then a half teaspoon of salt. I'm just using my granny taught me how to measure in the middle of my hand, and that's what I did. Sometimes you get a little too much, and sometimes you get a little too little. All right, so those could be sifted, except my sifter is in the bread bowl with my self-rising flour because I make Brenda Gantz biscuits. Now, I don't know if your mama ever told you, but don't put these things in the dishwasher because the dishwasher will ruin them. My mama never told me, and the reason is because we never had a dishwasher. I was the dishwasher. But they'll last a lot longer if you wash them by hand. Okay, now we're going to do our creaming the sugar and the shortening. Now, this recipe is an old one and it calls for Crisco, and I am trying very hard not to use seed oils or anything vegetable. I never could wrap my head around what they had to do to a vegetable to make it turn into this, you know? So I Googled what I could use as a substitute, and one of the suggestions was coconut oil, and I keep the big jar of that on my stove because it's what I use for cooking my eggs and things. So that's what we're using. And then we're going to need a cup and a half of sugar. So I use raw sugar or coconut sugar, and I can tell dipping in there that I'm going to need to get more of that too. And I use a scant cup and a half. I hardly ever use the amount of sugar that's called for in a recipe. Okay, and then we're supposed to cream this, and I just noticed that it's a whole lot easier to cream coconut oil than it is shortening, that's for sure. And then we're going to add 2 eggs and a teaspoon of vanilla. I have Mexican vanilla there on the cabinet because I can't seem to find mine. I make my own vanilla, and I bought new vanilla beans and put them in this great big container full of vodka, and it's supposed to be in the dark or you don't expose it to light. Well, I don't know what I've done with it. I'm hoping when I get my cabinet cleaned out that I'll find it. And now we're going to add slowly, slowly, slowly. Now you'll notice I didn't use my little trick with the saran wrap, and the reason is because if you cover the whole mixer with saran wrap, how are you going to get the flour in there? So I'm just adding it very, very slowly to incorporate this. And then I'm going to let it just come together in kind of in a little ball so that we can refrigerate it. My mama used to have an old Sunbeam mixer, and her pound cake recipe was made with, of course, Crisco and a lot of eggs and sugar and things. And I remember that mixer, she left that on forever, it seemed like. I don't know what, she would have just had such a good time with a KitchenAid. I didn't even know anybody that had one way back then. I was showing you just a little bit earlier that I saw a lump of baking soda in my flour mixture down at the bottom, and I normally put that on in my hand and then dump it out and kind of mush it, you know. Okay, so if I had room in my refrigerator or freezer, which I don't, I would have put the whole container in there. But instead, I am wrapping this up like I do if I make more than one pie crust to chill it. Just putting it in a little ball and wrapping it all in plastic wrap, and it will go straight into the refrigerator. We made the potatoes. We made the Grinch balls, almost, and we made the snickerdoodle batter. So we're ahead of the game, and this is how many potatoes I got. I got 1 container for the church party and 1 container for the family party, and these will be salads. And then the 3 smaller containers in the front are for my friend in the nursing rehab place because I'm taking her some meals. So I thank you very much for watching. This is part 1, and hopefully we'll get to part 2 one day. Bye now.